I told my wife, I said, I want to start the most hardcore Christian conservative radio station that you could find.
Yes.
And I said, what do you think about that? And her answer was supposed to be no, but she said, yeah, sure, go for it.
So you got to explain to me, you started a radio station at a time when legacy media is collapsing. What was your thought process there?
Yeah, so the background behind the radio stations, we've actually been in this industry since '83. So my father purchased this radio station back in 1983 to start the second Spanish radio station in Houston. So we've been in the radio industry for a long time. I took over ownership back in 2022 when my father passed away, and I was going to sell the company. I was like, I'm done with this. I've been working here since '04, and, definitely saw radio as a dying medium. But what I decided is, well, there's two areas where radio is still relevant, in sports and in political news talk. So I decided, well, let me go the English, route. Let me go the political news talk route where it's still relevant and use that as a jumping platform to get to my bigger picture, which is to create a more digital-based, online-based form that focuses on Houston area topics. So it's a risk still because it was changing formats from something that had been working, but at least we had the foundation of we've been in this industry for 40 plus years. But it was basically like starting all over again in 2024. So January 1st, 2024 is when we officially launched Patriot Talk 920 AM. So we're still in the infant stage, only a year and a half into this, but so far it's going in the right direction. But I know radio isn't going to be the long-term play here. There's other things that are going to come 5 years plus down the road.
What motivates you to do a political radio show?
So I was on a road trip with my family when I got so frustrated because I felt like my Catholic faith was under attack and my patriotism was under attack by the mainstream media. And I told my wife, I said, I want to start the most hardcore Christian conservative radio station that you could find.
Yes.
And I said, what do you think about that? And her answer was supposed to be no, but she said, yeah, sure, go for it. And so that was kind of interesting. So it was really a passion play of, I was just tired of my faith under attack. I was tired of my love for our country under attack and my fight to pursue for freedoms in the Houston, Harris County area, because my kids, we've grown up in the Houston area. I'm born and raised in Houston. I live in Sugar Land. I didn't want my kids to grow up and feel like, oh, I got to move to Florida or somewhere else where it's, a little bit more sane. I wanted to convert Harris County back to traditional family values, not the whole woke culture that we've been living in. And I'd like for it to be a place where my family can grow up and my kids can stay close to home.
Oh, why didn't you just lie down and take it like everyone else?
I turned into
Can't you just be obedient and docile?
Yeah. I turned into the social media warrior like a lot of people did, especially during COVID, where, behind your keyboard, you can complain about stuff and just say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And I knew one that wasn't bringing any joy to my life. That was just me complaining behind, screen anonymously. And then I was like, well, I got this platform, it's been here in my family for so long. It has a good business model behind it, but let me actually, do something now. And so the fact that I had the ability to do something, it was like, okay, this is my calling. I prayed very hard over it. I went through my own discernment of what I wanted to do. And after a lot of prayer, a lot of careful considerations, we're like, okay, we are going to use our family business and this is the direction we're going to go.
I love it, Matt. Although you're making me reconsider. If you're saying that sitting behind a screen as a social media warrior isn't fulfilling, I'm gonna have to reconsider my life.
Everyone has their own calling. I just know that sitting and making a couple social media posts didn't do anything, but people that are creating content like this means a lot, to put conversations out there. And I'm big on conversations. What people don't realize, especially when they first learn about Patriot Talk 920 AM, is they think that, oh, it's a bunch of rich white guys that put this together, good old boys that, just hate, every minority out there. And it's like, well, first of all, look at this Hispanic American right here. So that's not all the case. And, it's just, I have so many diverse friends, Catholics, Protestants, agnostics, people that are straight, people that are gay, people that come from all different backgrounds. It's just like, look, I'm open to conversations as long as you're a good hearted person who can have a reasonable discussion with me. I have no problem in having difference in opinions, but it's the fact that our opinions were getting squashed by the mainstream media. And so that's why, again, anyone that can bring conversation to light, whether it's through social media conversations, whether it's through a broadcast company like what I have, any kind of conversations that we can bring out to the open, I think are very important, especially nowadays.
Just want to make sure you're not racist. Is your best friend black?
I did have a black girlfriend in high school, so I'll say that much.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Thank you. We can continue this conversation now. All right. So you told me the mission. How do you now accomplish that mission?
Yeah, so it's taking strategic steps. And one, I have to create a business that's successful. I have to financially make this work. This isn't a, charity that I'm doing. It is trying to make a business work that will support myself, support my family, and then support itself going forward, where whether I'm in the picture or not, I want this machine to continue to support itself. So first we had to make, financially sound business decisions. And then from there, it's really been creating a grassroots model. So I knew your big radio players in the, Houston area, across the country, your iHearts and whatnot, I can't compete with them. They're at a completely different level. But here's the great thing is they can't compete with me because I'm at an independent, locally owned level as well. So, and not to jump in too hard, in the Catholic world right now, but my motto for the business is St. Francis de Sales model of be who you are, be that well. And so I know who I am as an independently owned and operated radio station. So I am going to use that to my advantage in creating a grassroots following. And we've been very blessed that in the year and a half we've been in operations, as soon as someone hears about us, they're automatically a fan of ours because they love the mission, they love our message, they love our authenticity and the transparency behind our operations. I don't sugarcoat anything in what we're doing. I let our audience know the direction that we're going and how we're trying to basically continue to bring light to issues going on in the Houston, Harris County area, along with things across the country. So that authenticity has really helped me to create relationships and a very loyal base, so loyal that they want to come and volunteer their time to help the station because they know, it's myself and a couple of staff members that are doing this whole thing. So it's really been a great experience to just watch us grow and how we can be different than the other, competitors out there, because again, they're going to operate it their way. Great. I'm not going to do it the same way. I'm going to find my own way of creating a niche in this market.
Give us a highlight reel. What's some of the best content you've released?
So some big things that we've done locally. So to kind of give you a mix of my radio station, we're a combination of nationally syndicated radio programs plus local radio programs. And so the national stuff is great, big guests that we have. But at the local level, I'm very proud for things we bring to light. We are one of the only broadcast companies to talk about. There was the big statue at University of Houston that was in honor of Ruth Gator, RGB. Ruth, gosh, I can't ever say her full name out, but Supreme Court
Ginsburg.
Yes, thank you. That's my tongue twister that I can't get through ever. So it was a statue that was supposed to be honoring her, but realistically, it had a lot of pagan attributes to it, and it was very much promoting abortion more so than anything. And so that was something, taxpayer funded that was sitting at, and we covered that, and I was very proud that we're able to bring to light something local that a lot of people didn't know about. And a lot of things coming out of Harris County Commissioner's Court will bring to light, but some of the other local stations will do that too. But the big ones that we tend to have is where we try to put our Christian faith in the messaging of what we're doing to try to bring Christian American family values back into Houston, where, your local politicians rather work on, being this woke social justice warrior that goes against, American valued Christian teachings.
What's the biggest wins you've had?
So I think my biggest wins actually come from the business side, not in a monetary sense, but in the sense of we've gotten people to come on board, advertiser sponsors to come on board with us who realistically, we're probably not ready to be that platform for them to advertise on, but they see the vision and the purpose of why we're doing this. And I've had companies that back me because not because I'm the biggest radio station in Houston by any means, but because, again, it goes back to that authenticity of, this is who we are. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, but this is the plan we have. 1 year out, this is what we're looking like. 3 years out, this is what we're looking like. This is the drive and the mission we have to bring these values back into our community. And we've had companies that back us with that. And they say, you know what? We love this. We know in the future it's going to pay off. And to see other like-minded business owners that can come together and support us in doing this, it means the world to me. And, I don't take that for granted. I tell them on a regular basis, I thank you for this. They understand that I'm still not taking a paycheck, a year and a half into this thing, that this is just me trying to grow this company right now. And so I will sacrifice for this company and for my community, and to have other people rally around us, that means a lot to me.
What does your competition look like?
So my competition is very much where radio's been for the last 40 years. It's still doing a lot of syndicated programs. It's still doing a lot of infomercials that they'll run during the week. With myself, it's more about building a community relationship. And we're really the only radio station that's active within the community. Every week we're out at different events. We are interacting one-on-one with our audience. And what's really cool about it is I'm out there at all the events as well. So I get to talk in person to our listeners or potential listeners. And people come up to me and they don't realize, hey, wait, you mean the owner of the radio station is actually here talking to me right now? And, it's like, yes, like another radio station cannot say that, yes, their owner is here, because, again, you're talking about a network of stockholders. So, you're not going to have a board of directors come to a gun show and talk to people about, hey, yeah, this is our one little radio station we're going to talk to you about. No, it's what we can do is we're able to actually have that interactions, and I'm able to talk one-on-one to people. My on-air personalities are able to talk one-on-one with people. Everyone else has kind of just created this cookie cutter model that they can replicate across the country. We're just focusing on Houston. And so the fact that I'm not looking to expand outside of Houston, I'm not looking to create a network of radio stations. I just want to be one radio station that fixes my hometown.
Who are your best personalities on the radio right now?
So I'll always go back and say we started as the home of Dan Bongino for Houston until he left for the FBI. So that was always my answer until a few months ago when he had to leave as deputy director.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys launched him?
No, he was in Houston with us. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we had Bongino. So again, it was a funny side story. I play basketball every Sunday. And one day I got a text on my phone that it was like, hey, Bongino got the gig as deputy director of the FBI. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then immediately after I put my phone down, I was like, wait, we're losing him as a radio personality. So it was a good high and then a low right after that. But what's been nice is I have a lot of great radio personalities with us still. Currently, one of my closest friends from the national level has been Todd Starnes, who is a former Fox correspondent. He's currently with Newsmax as well, and he does his own nationally syndicated show out of Tennessee. And he is great because he's Southern Baptist, so there's a Christian aspect to some of his programming that he's doing. He has a very good dry sense of humor. And again, being a national voice, he has a lot of great contacts. And he's been a good friend. He checks in with us regularly, texts me often to see how things are going. So it's nice having him on. He took over when Bongino left that time slot. So we've had him. We have other personalities that people know. Dana Lash, #1 female personality in the country. We're home to Dave Ramsey in Houston. So Dave Ramsey runs with us in the afternoons from 2 to 4. And then locally, we have a young man named Michael Wilson. He's only 23 years old. I gave him his very first radio gig here, and he has really taken off, where very, very intelligent, knows constitutional history very well, knows Christian history very well, and he puts those two together in his morning show called the Lone Star Conservative, where he's not afraid to bring up Christian American values within commentating on local Harris County, Houston politics. So it's a really unique mix. I think, within the next couple years, he's very much going to take off and be a huge voice in Houston. But, for his first time in radio, he's doing a great job. And what's nice is, I have a lot of people that want to come onto the station with us. So every day I have different, phone calls with people. They're like, hey, Matt, just want to touch base with you again. I'm ready to come over to Patriot Talk 920 AM. It's like, perfect. I'm not ready yet. Give me a little bit more time to get there. But the fact that people see our growth in our company, other radio stations have either become stagnant or they're going into bankruptcy. We are growing, and that's a big deal to a lot of people, is the fact that we have growth in our vision. So it's been really nice to see people want to come over with our radio station.
Any last words for our audience?
Yeah, just, a big thing I always want to say is, my faith drives my company. If you come into our office, you'll see, my crosses and a lot of Catholic relics, throughout the office. And so I think it's more and more important for us to put our faith first in everything, not just in our day-to-day life, but in our business and our business decisions. So I pray often over my business decisions. I always ask God to help me carry my cross every day, help me guide me down his path, and make sure that the business decisions that I make are never about myself or about his will. And so I'm very big on, put your faith first in your business. And I think that'll be a huge, win, whether it's a financial win or not. That's not what's important. It's just doing God's work.
And to my Virtuous Leaders audience, what you just said, Matt, is exactly what this show is all about. Highlighting messages of values-driven entrepreneurs, leaders. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for the listeners here today. If you like this show, please subscribe, like, send a comment, and listen to Matt's station.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Johan.